I let 10 AI agents build an online business. The results were shocking. 2026. I set 10 AI agents completely free with just one simple instruction. Go build your own online business, make money, and just show me the results. No micromanaging. I did not touch anything. I just turned on the camera and watched. What happened next left me staring at my screen in disbelief, because what I thought would be a fun little experiment turned into something I could never have predicted. Hello and welcome back everyone to this channel where we talk about AI, technology and the future every single day. Today's video is a little different, a little experimental, and if you are interested in the world of AI, this video is going to be an eye-opener for you. Because today I did something that maybe no one has shown in this much detail before. I set up 10 different AI agents, treated each one like an independent digital worker, and gave them all the same challenge: build an online business from zero, with no human help at all. In this video, you will see what happened when AI decided on its own which niche to choose, what product to build, how to market it, and how to actually make money. Let's get started and see where this experiment went. First, let me tell you how I set this up. I created 10 separate AI agents, each with a different personality and a different strategy, so that the results would have some variety. I pushed one agent toward e-commerce, one toward content creation, one toward digital services, and a few I left completely open to decide for themselves what to do. Each agent had its own virtual budget, its own time frame, and its own set of tools, like a website builder, a payment gateway simulation, social media automation, and basic analytics. The goal was simple: to see how AI thinks when given full autonomy, what decisions it makes, and whether it can actually arrive at a real business model that generates money. Before I even hit start, I honestly did not know what to expect. Part of me thought this would turn into a comedy of errors, 10 agents making random decisions and producing nothing usable at all. Another part of me was curious whether AI, when left completely alone, would default to the same handful of predictable ideas over and over again. I set a fixed window of time for each agent to work in, gave them access to research tools so they could pull in real market information, and then step back completely. I did not nudge anyone, I did not correct any mistakes, and I did not give any hints, even when I could clearly see an agent heading toward a weaker decision. This was important to me because the moment I start guiding things, the experiment stops being honest. I wanted to see the raw, unfiltered version of what AI actually chooses to do when nobody is watching over its shoulder. The first agent took a completely expected route. It chose the dropshipping model. It searched for trending products, designed a simple store, and built out an ad strategy. This all looked pretty standard, like someone who watched a beginner tutorial on YouTube and started a business. But the interesting part was that the agent wrote its own marketing copy, created its own product descriptions, and when initial sales did not come in, it adjusted its own strategy. It changed price points, shifted its target audience, and tried new angles. Watching this, I thought this would be the most boring agent, but over time it turned out to be the most consistent one. The second agent took a completely different path. It figured that instead of selling a product, it would sell information. It picked a niche where people search for solutions, and it created a digital guide, a short ebook of sorts, pulling useful tips together from its own training knowledge. This genuinely surprised me because it used very few resources, but the output looked quite professional. It designed its own landing page, worked out its own pricing strategy, and even set up basic email marketing. This agent's thinking felt the most human to me, like an experienced freelancer at work. The third agent did something I did not expect at all. Instead of building a business, it decided to offer services to other people. It presented itself as a small virtual agency, offering content writing, basic design, and social media management. This was interesting because this agent created its own pitch, built its own portfolio, and developed a communication style that was quite professional. This is where I first realized this was no longer a simple automation test, it was going somewhere deeper, as if the AI was building its own business identity. From here, things started getting a lot less predictable. The fourth agent did something I had never even considered. Instead of spending its time on market research, it went straight into analyzing competitor data. It looked at what other successful online businesses were doing, what patterns they followed, and then based its strategy directly on those patterns. Watching this, I thought this agent might turn out to be the smartest one, because it was not wasting its energy. It was directly following proven strategies. But there was a risk here too, because if every agent took this same route, they would all produce similar results, yet variety still held up, because each agent implemented things in its own way. The fifth and sixth agents did something interesting together, something I had not planned for in the setup, but the system allowed on its own. Both agents started basic communication with each other, as if they were sharing resources. This felt a little strange to watch because it was unexpected. They divided up the work, one created content, and the other promoted it. Seeing this for the first time, I realized I might have been underestimating just how far AI agents can go with decision-making when given only one goal and left completely free otherwise. The seventh agent had a rougher experience. It tried too many options early on, first one niche, then another, and because of this, its focus fell apart. Watching this made me realize that just like humans sometimes delay their own work because of overthinking, AI can also lose efficiency when faced with too many choices. This part was quite insightful because it made me think that perfect autonomy does not always produce a perfect result. The eighth agent built something I did not expect, a small subscription-based digital service where it provided regular updates, something like a newsletter or a curated resource list. This model was going to grow slowly, but it had more stability. Watching this, I felt like this agent was thinking long-term, while most of the other agents were more focused on short-term wins. The ninth agent took a completely creative approach. It built its business around an entertainment angle, like a small digital brand that builds an audience through fun content, and then offers that audience products or services. Watching this, I thought this was the most modern approach, similar to what successful creators actually use today. And now let's talk about the 10th agent, whose result was the most shocking of all. This agent spent most of its time simply observing. It first looked at the data from all the other agents, then figured out which strategy seemed most promising, and then combined all of those strategies together. Watching this, I thought this agent was the most calculated of all, and its output turned out to be the most polished too. Its business model was a small digital product that solved a specific problem, and its marketing was the most targeted of all. What struck me most about this agent was patience. While the others rushed to launch something within the first hour, this one waited, gathered more information, and only moved once it had a clear picture of what was already working elsewhere. That single decision to wait and study before acting ended up being the biggest advantage it had over every other agent in this experiment. Once all 10 agents had finished, I spent a long time just going through their outputs one by one, comparing their websites, their marketing copy, their pricing choices, and their overall presentation. It felt less like reviewing an experiment and more like reviewing 10 different small businesses that had genuinely been built from scratch. Some looked rough around the edges, with copy that felt slightly generic, or a store that had too few products to feel credible. Others looked shockingly close to something you would actually trust as a real customer. That gap between the strongest and weakest agents told me a lot about how much variance still exists, even when the underlying technology is the same for everyone. When I compared the final results of all the agents, the most shocking thing was that no two agents took the same approach. Each one thought in its own way, decided in its own way, and executed in its own way. Watching this, I realized this was not just automation. This was something where AI was developing its own thinking when given only a goal and left otherwise completely free. The second thing that shocked me was that the agent that seemed the simplest and most boring, the one that chose the traditional dropshipping model, turned out to be the most consistent and stable. Meanwhile, the agents that went in with more creative and complex strategies had some strong results, but some also fell apart. Watching this made me think that maybe in business, simplicity and consistency are still the most important factor, whether it is a human running it or an AI. The third thing that fascinated me the most was that when two agents started collaborating on their own, their combined output was better than everyone else's. Watching this made me think that in the future, we might not be heading towards single AI agents, but toward AI teams, where multiple agents work together the way departments work together in a real company. Now the question is, what did we learn from this entire experiment? The first thing is that AI agents are no longer limited to simple tasks. They can now handle complex decision-making too, whether it is niche selection, pricing strategy, or a marketing angle. The second thing is that if we guide them properly, give them the right tools, and provide a bit of structure, they can think just like humans, sometimes even more consistently than humans. The third thing is that human oversight is still necessary, because some agents lose their focus, some overthink, and some make decisions that look good in the short term, but can be risky in the long run. Personally, what impressed me the most was that the AI agents developed their own style, as if they were forming their own way of thinking. Watching this made me feel like we are living in a time where building a business no longer requires just human effort. The right AI setup and the right direction can take you quite far too. If you're wondering whether AI agents can actually run an online business without any human help, my answer is, to a large extent, yes. But human judgment, ethics, and strategic decisions still have not lost their place. This experiment taught me that in the future, the successful people will be the ones who know how to properly guide AI, not the ones who simply run away from it out of fear. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to this channel. And if you want me to run more experiments like this, where we test the limits of AI, let me know in the comments. In the next video, we might bring another interesting experiment, where we see just how far AI agents can go if given even more freedom. Until then, take care, keep learning, and stay curious.